my first reaction is, no, it wasn't. It was horrible. Like I literally cried every single time I wrote the book. I couldn't read a sentence back without crying,
Right.
and it fucking killed me. Like it gutted me for like 8 months. Writing was like going to the CD rack and picking out all these memories that I haven't thought about in forever and actually listening to them and writing them down because there's stuff in the book that I did not remember like until I started writing.
Welcome to Amy Liz Harrison's podcast, Eternally Amy, a mum of eight's journey from jail to joy, a Gen Xer who overcame her struggle with alcohol to become a best-selling author and mental health advocate. She shares stories of hope and offers ideas for others struggling with mental health challenges. One thing is for sure, you'll leave with something to chew on. And now, here's your host, Amy Liz Harrison.
Greetings, compadres. Welcome back to Eternally Amy. I have an unreasonably crazy high going on right now because we are just days away from Jason Mayo's memoir, first debut memoir dropping. And I am like, my heart is pounding. I feel like it's mine. It's not mine. It is his. But that's how much like I get intertwined in other people's stories because particularly in this case, it is so good. And I want everyone to read this. And like, I don't just say that. That's the thing. I don't say that lightly. Like, this book, I don't remember the last time I actually legitimately cried and left.
Oh my God, are you crying right now?
No, you're
Are you getting
crying.
emotional? Oh my God,
No,
wait.
you're crying.
Don't cry. Let me catch up at least. Let me cry a little bit.
Oh my God. No, but
Aw.
for real, like, here's the deal. This is such an amazing thing to be a part of, to have somebody else tell their story and then to trust you with it. It's huge. It feels amazing to be able to think about like the other people who will come across Jason's story and who will read it and who will resonate with it. And Jason, you're such a good storyteller. This is the worst, by the way, intro ever. Like I'm supposed to read your bio and do
I want you to keep
that.
going. I like this. It's
But here's the deal. This is just like the true raw joy of it is that I know that I've been a teeny tiny part of helping other people be able to come in contact with your story. And that's huge. Like it's huge. This book and this story have touched my life so much. And I think, part of it is I'm Generation X. So, of course, like all the pop culture references I related to and loved so much. And also because I saw so much of myself as a kid in you, especially in terms of the thoughts and feelings, even though the experiences may have been different. But it was just a joy and a pleasure to read. And I just want everyone to read it because it gives, I'm saying too much. I'm going to let you talk. But here's
no.
the deal. Here's the deal. Let me quickly just say that Jason Mayo, who is here today, yay, is the founder of Sober Not Subtle. And that, my friends, is a storytelling platform that raises awareness around addiction and mental health. So he's an author, recovery coach, contributing writer for the Sober Curator, woot woot,
That's right.
and creator. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, no, creator of the award-winning dad blog, Outnumbered. Do you still keep a blog?
No, it was from 2008 to 2016, but it is live, but I changed the address a little bit because I just, I didn't want to take it down, but I wanted to be live for certain people. But yes, it's out. It's still out there. Yeah,
Okay,
there's like at least 300 posts on that blog. It was pretty crazy. It was
awesome.
crazy. Yeah.
Awesome. And it was, I mean, you've been a writer for the majority of your life, but I know also some things open doors you know, a little more than other things. So I think that's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so yep. And so he was a dad blogger, and he once made Working Mother magazine's list of 25 dads who rock.
Yeah.
Alongside, wait for it, I'm about to name drop up in here Barack Obama, Brad Pitt, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, like that science guy, right?
Science guy. And just, I didn't have room in the bio, so I always cut it out. But it was also Matthew McConaughey, David Beckham, Will Smith. There was one guy on the list that wasn't an A-lister celebrity aside from me, but he was like a famous New York City chef. So I was literally the only civilian on the list. And I thought it was an absolute joke because they didn't notify me. They just put the list out and then it went out into the world. So people are like tweeting me. They're like, dude, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It was pretty funny.
Best.
It was funny. Yeah, it was fun.
Oh my gosh, that's the best. Fun fact, I was once in a magazine article next to The Situation and a few other people, and that's the closest.
Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
That's almost my hood, but not really.
But not quite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So, okay, so in case of emergency, break childhood. That is the name of Jason's memoir, and it's his debut memoir, and he got sober in 2010. So he's ahead of me by a year. Yay, Jason. And tell me what I need to do to become like you. Because kind of, sorta, I want to be you when I grow up. And what I mean by that is, what I've really enjoyed also about this process is just getting to know you as a person, which has been awesome. You're great with people. P.S. Just found out you're great at lives. Like you were just on Facebook Live and very naturally talking to, I mean, I always get on, something, an Instagram Live or something, and I'm like, and I don't know, it's like I get Tourette syndrome or something. And I'm not trying to be negative about that. Anybody who has Tourette's, I apologize, but I like freak out and I don't know what to do. So you were a natural at that. And yeah, I'm incredibly blessed and amazed by all that you can do, including tell your story. And so it is an honor and a privilege to have you here. And I'm like wondering, can you tell us what it was like to write your story?
Yes. First, I want to back up though and say that it's been awesome working with you too. Um, as you've probably realized by now, I'm a little bit of a control freak. I like to do things the way I like to do them. And I have to tell you that working with you, and can I say Megan? Working with you, Megan, who's a producer on the project, has been like really a lesson in letting go and a lesson in patience. And I mean in a good way, and I feel like at 54, because I'm 54, I'm old as a old sock from sleepaway camp. At 54, I feel like I'm still learning things. And this was such a learning process. Not only like things like what things are, like I didn't know what an arc was. I had no idea. I never would have known what an arc. I never would have thought of like what are pull quotes. Like I kind of think I knew but I didn't. Like so, just and all the stuff that Megan's doing right now, like just getting the book live and I just knew I didn't want to have to like stress about stuff, but there was a point when I was like, all right, they're really good at what they do. You need to just like sit back and shut up and just let them do some stuff. But since then, it's like, it's just been so easy. And I appreciate you being patient with me. And, it's been, I couldn't have, I know I met you like when the book was pretty much done, but like I couldn't have pictured going through this process to get the book out in the world without having your encouragement and your wisdom and your help. And we're a lot alike. Like we have the same sense of humor. We're both Gen Xers. We've both been saving around the same time. You're like me with a Giny, I think, is basically what it is, right? Like, let's be honest.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been really, 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 really nice. And I'm really glad that this is what we did. So shout out to 18 Press and Amy and Megan and everybody who's helped along the way, because It's been freaking awesome. I'm so happy that we did this together. I really am. I'm very, very happy. So
Thank you, my friend. What a gift.
anyway, what was the question?
No, first of all, thank you for that. It's very generous and very kind. And yeah, I was just wondering what the process was like for you. I mean, did you wake up one day and say to yourself, you know, people have told me I should write a book and today's the day? Like, can you unpack it for me a little bit?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was like, I know like readings coming up and like, different panels and podcasts and all these things are starting to happen. So I'm like, wow, I need to get my shit straight, like timeline and stuff. Cause everybody's like, when did you start writing the book? And I'm like, I don't know, like 6, 7, 8 months ago. But what I realized when I went back into all my notes, I started and I mean, I first picked up, not the pen, but I first started writing for real around the beginning of March of 2024. And I had close to a finished manuscript in March of 2025, March and April. And ever since then, it's been tweaking, it's been edit, it's been so it's been like almost a year and a half of, seeing the book come to life, which seems like I thought it was shorter than that, but that's what it is. As far as process, I talk about it in the preface, but just real quick, like I've always blogged, right? So we write. I mean, you've written long form too, but we write a lot of short form, right? Anecdotal stuff and Sober Curator type stuff and blogging. So that's always been my sweet spot. And even though those stories have been personal, they've still been 500 to 1,500 words, and I wasn't ever planning on writing a memoir, but what happened was when I first got sober, I'm getting seasick because my camera is like tilted, so I feel like I'm on like the villain on the '60s Batman when the screen always tilts. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
so when I first got sober, my first sponsor, I remember I used to go to a men's meeting at 8 o'clock on 22nd between 2nd and 3rd in New York City, and he wanted to start getting going with me on the steps. So we were going to start step one. So we went to a bagel shop right outside the meeting. And he said to me, he said, I want you to write down your drinking history. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't know really what that meant, but I'd assume that most people would probably do bullet points or, journal a little bit or just write an outline so you can go over it with somebody. But, being someone that likes to write, I wrote like 15 pages and I have it. So it started out from the night my parents told me they were getting a divorce, and it went through the day I got sober. And it was really, really raw because I was day 30 writing this, right? And after we read it together, I put it away. It was on a Google Drive. And a year and a half ago, I was looking through my Google Drive, cleaning shit out, and I saw something on an old email, a different email I don't really use anymore. It just said drinking history. So I opened it and I hadn't looked at it since then. So it cracked open like all of this guilt and shame. And like it was so raw. It just felt like I picked every single scab open again because I hadn't really thought about that so clearly, and all the shame and all the embarrassment and all that stuff, the regret, it was all in there. And when I read it, I was like, okay, wow. It was separated into sections. It was like childhood, it was like middle school, high school, college, work, different jobs, meeting Ronnie, my wife, like all this stuff. And I just started writing, like no plan. I just started writing like the different sections. I started writing longer sections and, it got to like 5,000 words. And then I was like, let's see if I can do 10,000. And then it was 20,000. And then I looked in ChatGPT. I said, Jasper's my guy. And this was his name. I say, Jasper, how long is a memoir? And he was like, between 30 and 60,000 words would be a decent sized memoir. And I was like, and I'm an addict. So I'm like, all right, I'm going for 60,000 words. And that's just was the process, and, just writing it as small entries, because if I didn't look at it one chapter, one entry at a time, it would have been so overwhelming. So I think using that experience of writing that short form really helped me move through it, because I feel like the chapters, I feel like they read like they're short form little entries, just in a bigger picture of things. So, but yeah, that's how it gets started. Which is crazy. I can't believe we're actually here, and it's finished and it's done.
You know, everything you said, I totally relate to on just kind of my own little level, but I had this crazy emotional component to it too. I'm wondering if you did at all, where like some nights I'd just be like, the hell am I doing? Like, I'm really thinking. I mean, a part of me knew, okay, I'm writing a book. That means other people are going to eventually read this. And then part of me was sort of in this weird denial. Like, I'm just kind of doing this for fun. Maybe like down the line, someone will find this at a garage sale after I'm dead and gone. And, I had this come to Jesus kind of a wake up call where I was like, no, no, like people that you see at the bus stop with your kids in the morning will at least have an opportunity to read it because it will be out there. So, did you have any of that at any point? Just kind of this realization, oh, this is live, or this is happening, or it's now
Well,
out there.
I'm having it now, like a lot, more than I thought I would have it at this point. Seeing the actual book today made me feel a little bit better, because I was like, all right, I think part of the stress was like, I hope it looks good. I hope it, but, yeah, I mean, when I wrote my dad blog, I really put myself out there. Like, it was really raw. And, the problem was, when I was blogging for the first couple of years of my dad blog, my motives were different. And I was writing, as the person I wanted people to see me as, and not the person that I was. And I'm not saying I wasn't being honest, like, because I was writing about things that were happening, but I wanted people to see me a certain way. And I think it was mostly because I felt exactly the opposite. And I didn't want people to know that. I didn't want people to know or think that I was like unfixable and broken, and so I really leaned into the funny and the raw. But so, that's different, because it was just different. It was a dad thing. But now, um, I don't know. We work in the field, right? Like, you're a recovery coach, right? So, I switched careers to do this, and I've never ever recovered out loud. It's just not what I've ever done. Like, I never was the kind of person that, and I'm not saying people shouldn't, but I was never the type of person that posted, my 5-year chip saying, I have 5 years sober, praise God in AA. Like, it wasn't me, right? And if somebody asked me about not drinking, I would tell them, but I was never recovering out loud. But when I switched careers, and I got into this behavioral health field, and realized the power of sharing your story, and how that connection and that identification really can change someone's life, I became not shy at all. And I think I took all of my transferable skills, so to speak, and I threw it all into the storytelling, and the human connection and all this stuff, but focused on recovery. So I feel like I've been recovering out loud for 2.5 years now, and I'm comfortable with it. Um, you know, I, I advocate for people, and people know who I am. And I feel like that's been a little bit of a slow burn. So writing this feels like maybe it was supposed to be that next progression for me. But at the same time, this is very deeply personal. And when you're talking to someone, you can control how that conversation goes and what you reveal. But as you know, when you're writing something and it's in there, you know, if you can go back now and change some stuff in your book, I'm sure you're like, ooh, maybe I would have said it a little bit different. But you have to just trust the process and trust the mission and the goal, which is just hopefully getting, like, we're not getting rich off of books. I mean, people maybe think people get rich, but unless you're writing Harry Potter books, or you're like, Ellen DeGeneres, with her memoir or whatever. But so you just have to like think about what that mission is. And for me, it's like if somebody reads it, somebody that's like a normal sort of regular person like me that has kids, has a job, and, just at one point wanted to put a gun to his head, but nobody knew it. Like I want those people to see that and be like, you don't have to suffer, you can talk to somebody. And so I'm definitely scared because I think I'm more scared for the people to read it that I know. I don't care about the strangers and all the people out there, like it's because it's faceless and I don't even think about it. But it's the people that I know from my past, from high school, from camp, from old jobs, all the people that thought I was this like happy-go-lucky, had everything. Like I'm like I feel a little weird, like because they're gonna be like, oh, like that wasn't what I thought Jay was. So I don't know. Nerves is probably not the right word, but I feel kind of vulnerable. I feel like I'm on that show Naked and Afraid,
Right.
and somebody just ripped the loincloth off, and I'm like, fuck, what am I doing here? Turn the cameras up. So, yeah.
So good. But that's also, in my opinion, how you've done it right. You did it justice. You told your story well. And there were so many parts of it. And this is where, look, I just can't talk about it because I want people to buy this book. Okay. And I always start going down these paths of like, oh, I love the part when this and that and the other thing. And I did. But there are so many amazing parts to this book. I mean, some of the stories, it's just like I was laughing so hard because some of the stuff from camp um and we were just on Jason just did a Facebook live and was unboxing the print book and
Thank you, by the way, for
of
that.
course
I'm like, it's awesome. Thank you so much.
of course and you were like tugging at your shirt and you're like oh, I think I have boobs in this shirt and I wanted to go, oh, you mean forbidden titties?
Yeah.
Just thought like that's part of it's one of the chapter titles
No,
and or
yeah.
part of one of the chapter titles.
Mhm.
And then I thought, I really don't want to, this is your crowd. And I was just like, how about just put a filter on, Amy, and don't say anything? But
No.
one thing also that I think is unique to you, it seems to me, I could be wrong, but you have a strong support network and you have a lot of people you've known for a long time who are still in your life or, talking to you at least. And I think that shows the strength of your recovery. And I mean, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
just, I can't relate. So I think it's a beautiful thing to see that not only are you sober now and have been through all of this, but also, you were able to maintain friendships and relationships at whatever level. And it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's what happens when you get old is you know more and more people.
Yeah.
Um,
It's true.
I, it's interesting because I've always had a lot of people around me, right? I mean, I'm an extroverted introvert, right? So I'm very good with people. I'm very good in social situations. I have no problem speaking in front of like 500 people. Like I'm good. Like, but I want people to cancel plans at the last minute so I don't have to go. And I want something to get rained out so I don't have to be there. Like it's this thing inside, right? So, the whole thing, you can be in a room with 1,000 people and still feel like super alone.
Yeah.
And that's always how I've been. So I've always done a good job, I think, maintaining my relationships with people. And in the business that I was in visual effects and animation, like advertising stuff. So I would travel a lot and I would, sell and, try to like go to agency and clients. I was always taking people out to lunch and dinner and I've always tried to be really kind, right? And really compassionate, even when I wasn't at my best. So I haven't burnt many bridges in my life. So I feel like, you know, with all these people that I know, they've always been there with me and supportive, whether it was the blog or children's books or like the career change. But what I'm excited about now is I feel like I failed in a lot of ways to really connect with a lot of the people that I wish I would have connected with more, because I had so much shit going on and I didn't want to give that part of myself up. So I was always like, stand a little standoffish. And I'm getting like a lot of like texts and DMs and emails and from people that are reading the book that I haven't spoken to in a long time, or just people that are, DM me, hey, I'm 6 months sober, like nobody knows, but or I'm 3 months sober. Or I had one person DM me, and this person was a client of mine, and this person told me about a time that we were working on a job together for like 3 months, and they had like a meltdown at my office. And it was before, I think, no, it was like right when they were in very early sobriety, and I was already sober, but we didn't know, so like there are so many people that I don't know. I want to take this opportunity this time around to really connect and follow through with the people that reach out and the people that support me, because I was never good at that part. I never, so it's a blessing for me, like seeing and hearing from people that I haven't in a long time, because, I appreciate them, and I miss them. And but I feel like I wasn't there, all there, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's one of the things that I'm with this support network that you were talking about. But I'm very, very lucky. Yes, I'm very lucky to have the support I do. And
So great.
yeah.
That's kind of one of the side benefits, right? Like by proxy, reconnecting with other people that you
Hmm.
haven't seen in a long time. And what would you say has been one of the best parts so far? I mean, do you feel any, I don't know if relief is the right word that I'm looking for, but do you feel any kind of like, yeah, like that has been stirring in my spirit to tell my story, or to now that it's finished? Or do you have any kind of feelings of joy and happiness and reprieve?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've accomplished something that I set out to do. Like I like making a commitment, especially to things that I want to do that are creative, and finishing them. So, I haven't really done it yet, but I definitely need to take a moment and like just sit with myself and say, congratulations, like you actually did it. Like, so good for you. But so I have to take that time. But I don't know. Like I said, this whole thing was just such a thing that happened not on purpose, and I haven't really I haven't really gotten there. And I haven't really soaked it all in. I'll be honest. Like
Yeah.
it's really we've been so busy,
Yeah.
like, and going back and forth with the process and this and that. But yeah, I mean, there's relief. I feel like, you know, the writing part about it, and I wonder if you can relate to this, but um people ask me, or they say like that must have been really cathartic writing that book, or it must have been very therapeutic writing the book. And my first reaction is no, it wasn't. It was horrible. Like I literally cried every single time I wrote the book. I couldn't read a sentence back without crying,
Right.
and it fucking killed me. Like it gutted me for like 8 months. I was walking around not knowing why I didn't feel right.
Mhm.
And then I finally like realized, I'm like, wow, I'm living in all of the grief and the shame and the regret and the remorse and all the stuff that I haven't thought about, haven't talked about in years and years and years. I'm living it again. And, um, you know, so for me, it wasn't therapeutic as much as it was cleansing, I think
Mhm.
is probably a better word. I, I said to someone recently, you're a CD person, right? You're from vinyl and CD and cassettes and stuff. So if the audience is younger, they whatever, look it up. It's ChatGPT cassette. But anyway, so remember when you had CDs, and mine is right over there. I have this like 4 or 5 foot tall CD rack that spins, and it holds 800 CDs, right?
Yeah.
So when I was like had my CDs, I had a 5 CD changer, right? And I'd go over to my CDs and I'd methodically just go through it, and it was alphabetical order, and I could pick something that I haven't listened to in 6 months and be like, oh, I forgot about that. And I'd put on like these CDs that I'd listen to different music all the time. Every single time I listened to music, it was different. Now with Spotify, I listen to the same 5 fucking playlists over and over and over again because I can't remember what freaking music I used to listen to. I can't. I'm like, what did I used to? I'm like, oh, forget it. I'll just put on, the playlist that I was. So for me, that's what writing was like. It was like it was different from talking. Like going on Spotify is like talking to my therapist or talking to a good friend. Talking about the stuff that's going on, venting about stuff that's, really like bothering me, maybe talking about like a traumatic event that, I've been thinking about. But writing was like going to the CD rack and picking out all these memories that I haven't thought about in forever and actually listening to them and writing them down because there's stuff in the book that I did not remember like until I started writing,
Yeah.
like just having to describe something in words,
Oh,
in great detail. It's like the more you write, the more you remember. And I the stuff was true. Like it happened. Like I've had conversations with my mom and my dad. They've both read the book, and my wife, and it's like I didn't think that I remembered that much. Like I really thought I repressed a lot of memories, but it's just because I just didn't have access to them. So it wasn't therapeutic and in a way and or cathartic because it was horrible and really, really hard, but it was cleansing because I got to like really relive it with the perspective that I have as a sober, healthy man in recovery, with a little bit of medication. I was able to sort of look at that stuff and, feel bad for that kid that was 8 years old, and have empathy for the guy that couldn't stop doing drugs and was blowing everything, and ruining everything around him. Like, I was able to say, like, listen, all these people did the best they could with what they had at the time, including me. And so that's what this book did for me, and I never want to do it again. I'm done, like
huh?
there's no part 2. That's it. I'm going to write some sort of sci-fi zombie book next or something like that.
Something totally different.
Yeah, we'll go there. We'll go there.
Yeah. I love it. I love it so much. And you bring up such an important point, which is the person you are now and the perspective you have now, right? And then looking back and really digging up those old memories like that shit is uncomfortable because you really do. You have to really put yourself back in that spot and remember all the feelings and remember, I mean, even down to like, I could remember in some situations what I was wearing. You did a great job at describing some of that stuff too. And really, you know, like focusing in on what it feels like to feel alone or weird or different than everybody else, and thinking and assuming, at least I did at that age, that everybody else kind of had like the secret to life. Like they all had like the secret handshake and I didn't know it. And I was always kind of, I had these big feelings and all this stuff, but I felt like I couldn't say that and I couldn't talk about it because
Yeah.
somehow we weren't doing that. And so I never knew that probably other people had big feelings too. But, you're figuring this stuff out as a kid and you're facing these challenges. And, you said something, I'm paraphrasing now, but in your book, about a kid should never have to be under some stresses in their life of that magnitude.
Yeah.
And how we process that as children is totally different because it's like survival, right?
Yeah.
I just need to get through this. And then as an adult to have that perspective and look back and realize, okay, I'm kind of actually doing inner child work at the same time as writing this. And it's kind of weird and it's kind of uncomfortable and I'm hating it, but it's good. And there's just all these weird, it's this ball of yarn.
Yeah. One of the things that was eye-opening for me, uh, especially writing about the childhood stuff, is the word trauma,
Mhm.
right? So, I've never associated my experiences as a kid with trauma, ever. That's not the word that comes to mind. Broken home, fucked up childhood, like all this stuff. But I never once was like, I had trauma as a child. And writing the book and, taking some of the training that we had to take as recovery coaches, and learning about like informed trauma care and, what qualifies trauma. It's not just, and, I think a lot of people have this, common, perception is that it's not just, I think people think it's like, the vets that come home, shell shock, they used to call trauma shell shock with a leg blown off, or, domestic violence, a battered woman or child, a horrible, horrible a car wreck, a fatal disease in the family. Like these are the things that you associate with trauma. But, you know, having coming from a broken home, like a kid who's 8 years old and his parents split and his whole world is turned upside down at that age, and everything that seemed normal was now gone. That's trauma. Like I didn't realize that it was trauma. So when I was able to realize that and write about it from, that perspective of I've been through trauma, it really like opened up sort of a whole shitload of feelings that I didn't allow myself to feel. And you're familiar with the ACEs test, right? Like in one of my trainings we took the ACEs test, and what is it, adverse childhood something, I don't know, experiences. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a 10 question test, and it's about childhood trauma, and we had to take it, and I thought I was going to get like, a 0, like no trauma, but I had like 4 out of 10, and that's like above average trauma. And a divorced home, parents who were divorced was part of that list of trauma, and I was like, holy shit, like I have trauma in my life, and thank God it's manageable. But like, your brain isn't fully developed until like you're 24, 25 years old. So, every tool and every skill set in life, emotionally, that I needed to learn, I had to teach myself for the most part from the age of 8 until the age of 39 when I got sober. I was flying solo, and that's not normal for a 39-year-old man to be operating with the emotional intelligence of an 8-year-old, you know? But that's how it is, Um, so it's amazing that I has even, been able to do anything really. And I think sometimes probably, you're in recovery, you're probably like, how was I living that way,
I know.
And thank God we know that we don't have to anymore. But
Mhm.
but yeah, trauma. It's a really, really big deal. And I hope people take take that away from that and like recognize experiences that they've had, and not downplay certain things. Like, hopefully people are validated in their experiences. So
Mhm. Well, and I think that one avenue for that is by you sharing your story. I think the more stories of people coming forward and saying, I didn't even recognize that this was a problem or that this was not normal, because it is your normal
yeah.
as a child. Or, you sort of think like, oh, well, you know, 14 kids on my bus, they all have divorced parents or whatever. 14 cases of trauma that wasn't even recognized as trauma, especially back then. I mean,
Oh my God.
you
Yeah.
and I grew up at a time where it was like, it was kind of hip and popular and preppy to start going to therapy as an adult. It was
Mhm.
kind of like a yuppie thing, but like no one went because, they valued themselves and the relationship with themselves, and they needed to process, and it was like, I mean, that's my perception when I say no one went for that reason. But like as a child of the 80s, I was like, I mean, my parents didn't go. We went to church.
Yeah.
Church was going to solve our problems.
Hmm.
And it's just, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And so I love that. I was hoping maybe you might want to tell us a little bit about Sober Not Settle and what you do on there, because we live in an era now where we have so much access, if we want them, to toolboxes and different ways of looking at, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to work out this life situation? Am I the only person who ever feels insecure? Or, I mean, whatever it is, big or small.
Yeah. Well, sobernotsubtle.com, which is the website that I started, didn't start as that. When I switched careers, I hadn't been inspired to write in a very, very long time. Like I had written I did a children's book during COVID, and you know, it was like, okay, like it was an old story that I'd written years ago that I finally just I wanted to do something creative. So, but when I started working in behavioral health, I started getting inspired again. Um, and I didn't know really about what, but I was just inspired. I was feeling fulfilled, and I felt like I had renewed purpose, and I just wanted to start writing. And I said, well, why don't I start a blog again? Right? Because if I could do it with the dad blog, I can do this, and I called it, If It Hurts, It Helps. That was the name of the blog. Okay.
Out. I love that.
Yeah, it was called If It Hurts, It Helps. And the reason why is because I always say, and everything I say, I've heard somewhere, right, along the way in recovery. But, the most fucked up shit that we go through always becomes our greatest assets in recovery.
Yep.
Okay. So it's like especially like as a recovery coach, like with lived experience, like it's the only job in the world that you could put all the fucked up shit on your resume and actually get the job, right?
Totally.
And not get kicked out the door.
Yeah.
But so that was the premise of It Hurts, If It Hurts, It Helps, is that, right? So I started writing and posting, and I was having a great time writing again. And it was deep and it was dark and there was humor and there was all this stuff. But I was like, I'm writing about like only my recovery. And I feel like I don't want to hear myself talk, which is how I got after a while. When I got sober, I didn't want to write anymore after a while, because I was like, I don't want the attention on me. So I quickly realized with this blog that it's not something that was sustainable, for me personally. And I actually reached out to Elise. I found Elise on the internet, and Elise Bryson is the founder of the Sober Curator. Where is that? Actually, here.
Woot woot. Shout out Elise Bryson.
I try to rep whenever I can this hat.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I try to rep the hat.
Got
Elise, I want to raise double my salary, which is still zero. But anyway, so I reached out to Elise because I remember I was searching best sober blogs, because I was looking like, I want to connect with people that are also writing like what I used to with the dad blog. And Elise was the first person that came up, Sober Curator. So I sent her an email just saying, hey, listen, I really like the site. I write this blog, and I just want to pick your brain about the space, and like really just wanted to meet her, and of course she emailed me back because she's awesome, and we did a phone call. Probably we were on the phone for over an hour, just laughing and just like talking about shit, and it was like recovery writing, and she was like, do you want to write for Sober Curator? I was like, yes, thank you. So for a little while I was just wanted to just be writing for the Sober Curator, and I felt so much better with that. And having a taste of that community, which you and all like 30, 40 writers that write for the Sober Curator, and they're all sober, and everybody has different perspectives and different types of recovery. It's been so enlightening that I was like, I don't want to do like a lifestyle website like Sober Curator or pop culture. That's not, but maybe I can have my platform turn into a platform where it can amplify other people's voices. And I can still write, but I don't have to feel like it's my site. I want it to be everybody's site. And so I was thinking of different names, and one of the names is Sober Over Easy. And what was the other one? It was Sober Now, Apocalypse Later. I had all these weird names, but I came up with Sober Not Subtle. And And then I just started reaching out to people, social workers in my field, other people at the recovery center that I work for, and people were willing to write, and it just, there are resources on there. There's different people that write their story. There's just a whole bunch of stuff on there that people can get out of it. And, it's been great. I think we have now 130 posts on there, and I think 80, 85 guest posts, which is amazing. And we've had playwrights, we've had, parents who have lost children to fentanyl poisoning. We have social workers, psychiatrists, people just with their lived experience. We've had articles about disordered eating, tons of articles about mental health. And so, for me, Sober Not Subtle has scratched that itch, and it's allowed me to also like sit back a little bit and just like read people's stories and like just appreciate that everybody has a story to tell. And, I sometimes ask people to tell their story, and they say, well, I'm not a writer. And what I say to that is, if you can talk, then you can write. Because I think a lot of people get intimidated about writing, and they're concentrating so much on the minutia and the grammar and the cadence and the phrasing and all that. It's like, I can't write, I'm not a good writer. And it's like, if you can talk and make sense and talk like a human and have a great conversation, just write like you talk. Write the gobbledygook and then worry about it later, because and that's what I've always done. And some of the people that have contributed the best, most amazing, inspiring stories are the people that have never written anything before. And I love it, and it's been, again, if it wasn't for Elise, I probably wouldn't be doing Sober Not Subtle, and I probably wouldn't be writing again, like I am now. So, and that's, in a way, that's kind of probably why the book is here now, because I've had that opportunity and that, like I said, that inspiration to write again, because it was not there at all. I was streaming on Twitch, playing video games. That was my creative outlet, because it's like, that's what I went to. So anyway,
Well, as we kind of start to wrap this up, I have to say, one of the most moving parts just now that I saw on Facebook Live when you did this is you held up this spiral notebook that you found.
Yeah.
I think, that you wrote. What did you say? And how old were you when you were writing?
It was high school. It's 86 through, actually, there's also passages from 1990. It's high school through college. And it's just some of the darkest shit you'll ever read. And I'm like, why was I writing like about war when I was like 15 years old? Or like I wanted to be like Charles Bukowski and Hemingway. I was writing about these crazy romantic like notions that I had when I was 15, and I was drinking when I wrote all of it. My whole thing was I would drink alone in my basement and listen to The Cure, and I would write shit, and it would be super depressing. But without that, I probably wouldn't be writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was also hard, going back and looking at the old stuff. Cringy too, a little bit, right? But yeah, it's always been there, and it's like, again, it's just like, realizing things I never realized, really came to light. So, by the way, did you catch this? I know you saw it originally, but I don't think I ever showed you the actual hardcover that I made of this. And
That is mind blowing.
yeah,
And
it's
definitely do a giveaway or something. If you,
oh yeah,
I mean,
I wanna-
that'd be amazing.
I want to get rid of these, like really get rid of this. It's so sad, but to see where it went is
Yeah.
sad for you, because I was so stuck on that cover and those colors. Like I was so set on that, and I'll never forget. They said it looks like a Cub Scout manual. I was like, fuck, they're right. Forget it. Okay, next. But thank God, because so much happier, so much happier.
Good. Well, and it takes a person having an open mind, because my big deal is like, this is your story. It needs to feel authentically you, every detail of it. Like it has to be yours. And so even if you took that feedback and you were like, you know what, screw you guys, like, like this is it. Like the Cub Scout manual is the book. That's cool because, you know, that's what it is. It's you pouring yourself into pages, just like the Spiral Notebook.
Yeah.
And I think that just makes me always emotional when people used to write in their younger days, because it's like, that's the shit that stays with us. It's like, you know, I mean, people will say exactly what you said people will say to you on your website. Like, I'm not a writer and all this, but,
Yeah.
you know, are we not writers, or are we just kind of telling ourselves that, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just getting caught up in these constraints of life and identity and all these weird things and self, you know,
Mhm.
analyzation and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to say two things. First of all, you must buy Jason's book. You have to, because if you can't personally relate to it, I bet you know someone who you can imagine is very similar or has had experiences that Jason had, right? Like it's also that. It's two things can be true at the same time. You yourself could identify, or you could see somebody else in your life and go, "Oh, that makes more sense. I understand that person better now." Right? So whatever it is, that's the beauty of art, especially a true story of art. Like this isn't a fictional book. This is a true story. And so that's what makes it so powerful. And also, when you buy it, please leave a review. I can ask for that. Please leave a review. And literally, this can be a very short review, but just something heartfelt. One line that you loved, one thing you identified with, one thing you never thought of before. But whatever it is, please leave a review. That would be amazing. And I want to end on this because I have to. Jason, tell everybody what the amazing thing is that I didn't know until I heard it from you about your launch date coming up, about somebody in high school that you.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like, it's just, what are the chances, right? Like, literally, what are the chances? So, what Amy's talking about is I went to, shout out to Calhoun High School in Long Island. Go Colts. But I graduated in 1988, and I graduated with Debbie Gibson, the pop star, who became the pop star in like junior and senior year of high school.
Wow.
It's crazy, right? So, and she's awesome. Like, she was like one of the nicest people. Like, there's nothing, I don't think anybody can say anything bad about Debbie. Like, she was great. So, and she continues to be great. But anyway, so I saw her, I follow her on Facebook and Instagram, and I always like keep up with what she's doing. And like 3 weeks ago, she's like, "Hey, my memoir, my new memoir is coming out and it's dropping on September 9th." And I was like, "Really? What the fuck, man?" Like, you had to pick the one day. Like, so two people from graduating class 1988 in Calhoun High School are both coming out with a memoir on the same day. And I'm like, she's gonna steal my thunder, man. Like, give me one moment, just one moment. But
Right.
I think it's actually insanely cool and probably not a coincidence. And I'm sure her memoir is also amazing too. So, but yeah, so
Oh my
we'll lean
God.
into that. We'll lean into that, you know?
We'll lean into it.
Yeah, we'll
Like
lean into it.
rewinding to our electric youth.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God.
Only in your dreams.
Only in my dreams.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Jason Mayo, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for talking to us about writing. Thank you for publishing your book. And thank you for allowing me to be a small part of that. And I'm so grateful to have you as a friend. I just really have enjoyed working with you. It's been a blast and a pleasure. and a gift. And I wish you nothing but the absolute best. I just can't wait to see your story take off. And so thank you so much. It's just truly, truly an honor.
I could just say the same exact thing. And you're not done with me yet. Like, we still have some stuff to go over. Like, don't leave me. Don't leave me hanging on September 9th and disappear, because I'm going to need you. Like,
No worries.
yeah,
No.
I'm glad we've met. Like, really, this is, it's amazing. And I can't wait to come out to you guys, and, you know, hopefully I've always wanted to go out there. So hopefully I can come out there and do a reading or something, or at least just hang out. That would be really fun. Yeah.
No, super fun. That's going to be amazing. And Elise will pick us up in her Jeep and just
Hope so.
and tour us around and everything. Okay. So again, it's In Case of Emergency, Break Childhood. And it is by Jason Mayo. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's the cover. And it's the best. It's the jam. And so is Jason Mayo. So if you're listening, please remember to be kind, rewind. Thank you for the honor of your time. Take what you like and leave the rest behind.
Thank you so much for listening to Eternally Amy, a mum of eight's journey from jail to joy. Amy Liz Harrison is a best-selling author, speaker, 12-step coach, meditation teacher, and recovery advocate. To find out more, please visit amylizharrison.com. You can keep up with Amy on all platforms by following @AmyLizHarrison. Please subscribe and review this podcast. It means so much to us if you do.